Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. Wow, quite a bit today in the news as well that has transpired. At least I think so. I'm watching several different things. I'm watching the stuff that's going on involving Russia and anything that I can find out involving China. We've got North Korea in the news tonight. And I'm going to start out with an update on the convoy. So I believe right now, if I'm not mistaken, as I speak, they're having a rally. They're in Big Springs, Texas. And they had a special mission today that I thought was really cool. It was a really emotional thing. There was a gentleman on a motorcycle, and I think he was with them ever since Adelanto, California. If not, he joined in right after. One of the two. He'd been with them for the long haul. Well, anyway, he had went to go home, and he left to go home, and on his way home had a motorcycle accident. Nonetheless, hit a semi. And so he received extensive injuries and whatnot. And so turned out where they were in Big Springs, Texas, was roughly a little over an hour drives away from Lubbock, Texas, where this gentleman's in his rehab. I guess he's had some operations done and stuff already, and he's in rehab now. And so the guys seemed to be doing fairly well. I mean, they had him outside in a wheelchair. And WYSIWYG TV, he pulled a smart move. He got ahead of the convoy and went to the hospital, or to the rehab center where this gentleman was at, and waited there. And sure enough, he came out, they wheeled him outside. So you got to see from his point of view today, if you watched WYSIWYG stream. Anyway, it was really cool to see. I don't know how many vehicles were involved, but it was a fairly decent sized convoy that went out today. And so that's just what they did. They just drove past the hospital, or the rehab center. And, I think there was a hospital there too. I think it was all together. And then Mike Landis, the gentleman that drives the lead truck, had pulled in and instructed Trucker G, who was in the second truck, to go ahead and carry on, because Mike Landis wanted to stop and talk to, they called him Biker Bill. And, so Mike stopped and talked to him, and Trucker G took it upon himself to go a little ways down the road, get everybody turned around, and make another roll past the facility. So that was pretty cool. But that's what happened today, and then there was a rally this evening. I'm not sure. I think tomorrow they head back out, I think. And they're headed for the Las Cruces, New Mexico area, in which they're looking for anybody that would like to host them. So, in that area. So, that's probably about all the updates I have for you on the convoy. It was kind of, other than the rally tonight and the, convoy to Biker Bill, it was scheduled as kind of like an off day, So anyway, have a sip of coffee. I do have some tabs open. The first couple of articles are just kind of out of left field, really. Well, one of them everybody's been talking about, but whatever. This first one, though, I talked about this back when it happened. There was an issue, and at Branson, Missouri, and there was these. They called them the Ducks, Ride the Ducks, and there was an incident in 2018 in which several individuals perished from their trip on one of the ducks when a storm blew up on the people and capsized the duck and trapped a bunch of people in it. So there was lawsuits, obviously, and all that stuff, and there were actually charges against individuals that worked for them, and I can't remember. I can't remember, but it seems to me like that the particular storm cell that hit them, because I went back and looked myself, and the particular storm cell, if I recall right, that hit them had just blew up. So there was no way for them to have any kind of a warning. There weren't any kind of warnings out that would have prevented them from going on about their day. There was nothing. When they left out, the sky looked fine. It didn't look like something serious was on its way or anything like that. And it's just an unfortunate thing. And I'm not downplaying, the severity of what happened, the loss of life. But things happen. They happen. And it just is what it is. You can't make someone accountable for every unfortunate thing. You sometimes you just can't. Sometimes it's just one of those things, just unfortunate, Talked about it before. I got a friend that had a child pass away of SIDS. And very frustrating, right? Because in times like that, when you hurt, you want to blame something, right? I don't know, I guess we think that that's going to help relieve the hurt a little. Well, sometimes there's nothing to blame, There's nothing to blame. And I think this was kind of one of those times because nobody saw what was coming. Nobody saw what was coming. Anyway, I didn't bring it up. Sorry. So here's the article. I'm sitting there jibber-jabber. And because it bothered me. The way they handled this incident really bothered me, Judge dismisses state charges against 3 Ride the Ducks employees in 2018 tragedy. It says here a Stone County judge dismissed state charges against 3 employees, including the captain, in the deadly Ride the Ducks tragedy on Table Rock Lake. Judge Alan Blankenship had delayed the decision on whether to bound the 3 over for trial until Tuesday. He instead dismissed all of the charges. Pardon me. Judge Blankenship said the unique characteristics of the boat lead it to rapidly sinking. He also said the staff was aware of the storm, but there was no evidence they were aware of the storm's gust front. On July 19, 2018, Ride the Ducks Stretch Duck 7 with 31 people on board capsized and sank in stormy weather on Table Rock Lake. 17 passengers, including 9 from the same family and 1 crew member driving the boat, drowned that night. It became one of the deadliest boating accidents in United States history. It says here in July 2021, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, Stone County Prosecutor Matt Selby filed 63 criminal charges against 3 employees on duty. Captain Kenneth Scott McKee and 2 supervisors, Curtis Lanham and Charles Baltzell. When the tragedy happened, the state-based charges, including first-degree involuntary manslaughter and first-degree endangering welfare of a child, followed months after federal judge dismissed charges filed by federal prosecutors. I mean, see, this is what I'm saying. This is what they were trying to go after these individuals with. It was just, come on, you know? It says in their initial assessment, authorities blamed thunderstorms and winds that approached hurricane strength. The duck boat sank under high waves while winds around the area reached up to 70 miles per hour that day. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt released a statement to KY3 following the judge's decision. He said 17 people, including children, were tragically killed on Table Rock Lake in 2018. Our hearts continue to go out to their families and their loved ones. Our office has worked to prosecute this case and the alleged offenders to the best of our ability. We're disappointed in the court's decision, but we're not giving up in our pursuit of justice on behalf of the 17 victims and their families. Our office hopes to refile charges and continue this case, and will confer with the local prosecutor to that end in the coming days. So, and there was something I was reading, I was just reading something this morning, and I can't remember what the hell it was. But it involved a prosecutor getting charged with malicious prosecution. And I can't remember what that was. However, I think a lot more of that needs to happen. Look, I feel for the families that this happened to. But anytime you do anything, you take a risk. When you wake up and get out of bed in the morning, you take risks. When you step out of bed, you could slip, you could fall, you could slam your head on your dresser. You take risks every second of every day. It's just the way life is. Nobody involved with that situation had any idea what was headed for them. Did the best they could at dealing with the situation at hand when it happened, from what we know. And it's unfortunate. It's truly, truly unfortunate. But we shouldn't go acting like the people, these individuals, had some type of malicious intent, some type of black heart that wanted to take the lives of those people or even needlessly risk them. They had no idea it was going to happen. And I think going after them like a witch hunt is horrible. Horrible. That, believe me, stuff like this is going to weigh on them enough. So, I mean, it's a horrible tragedy. It just is. I think it's insane that we have became such a sue-happy society. It's crazy. I think what's going on with, and I'm definitely not a big fan of Amazon. As far as, their corporate policies, all that kind of, no. I mean, they're a corporate giant that needs to be dismantled, and, it is what it is. But at the same time, this whole nonsense of them being sued over a tornado that hit a distribution warehouse, come on, and then trying to sue because people felt like the building wasn't, appropriate. Well, you tell me just what building is appropriate for getting directly hit by a tornado, and then explain how all of these companies are going to be able to afford to build every single one of their buildings like that for a freak incident that, although very unfortunate, once again, nobody is to blame for. I don't know. It's one of my pet peeves. It's one of my pet peeves. Oops, let me have a sip of coffee if I don't knock it over first. Yeah, I know. So anyway, I'm sure you all have heard this a couple of dozen times already about Elon Musk and his shares in Twitter. And he's now on the board of directors. So what's that going to mean in the end? Who knows? Apparently, at least for the foreseeable future, it doesn't look like there's going to be any unbanning going on, if anybody's got those thoughts. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's definitely worth noting, at least a little bit, Okay, let's see. 1 second. Okay, DPRK says we'll have to use nuclear weapons if South Korea mounts preemptive attack, says Kim Jo-jong. And there had been tensions kind of rising up again between the South and the North Korea, that is. And, of course, North Korea has been doing more testing and stuff like that as of lately. But as this here says, North Korea has possessed nuclear weapons since 2006, which it says are necessary to guarantee its safety in the absence of a permanent peace treaty and U.S. withdrawal from Korea. The U.S. and its allies claim North Korean nuclear weapons are destabilizing to the region and a danger to the South. Kim Yo-jong, the Deputy Department Director of Publicity and Information Department of the Workers' Party of Korea, said on Monday that if South Korea followed through on recent threats of preemptive strike against the North, Pyongyang would reply with nuclear weapons. However, she cautioned that South Korea is not our principal enemy and that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is definitely against such war. That's why our marshal clarified that our principal enemy is just war itself, she said, referring to her older brother, DPRK leader Kim Jong-un. Kim's remarks come several days after South Korean Defense Minister Soo Wook made rare public comments about Seoul's preemptive strike doctrine against North Korea. Currently, our military possesses large numbers and various types of missiles that have greatly improved in terms of ranges, accuracy, and power, and has capabilities to accurately and swiftly strike any targets in North Korea, Soo said on April 1st ceremony marking the reinforcement of the Army Missile Strategic Command in Wonju, according to Yonhap news agency. So, you got that going on. And then, North Korea reveals their nuclear red line. I figured this would probably be a good one to include here. Says here, Pyongyang's nuclear forces would have no other choice but to respond if the South decides to attack the country. Kim Jo-jong, key advisor, this might be actually just saying the same things, just a different headline. Actually, I think it is. Yep, it is. So this is just basically the same thing except from RT versus Sputnik. I was thinking when I read the first paragraph earlier it was actually something else, but it's not. Okay. So anyway, moving directions here. We supposedly had secretly tested a hypersonic missile. And as this here claims, the U.S. has tested a hypersonic missile designed by Lockheed Martin for the Hypersonic Air-Breathing Weapon Concept Program, a defense official cited by CNN on Monday has claimed. The Biden administration supposedly kept the trial secret not to antagonize Russia further. According to the CNN source, the scramjet missile was launched from a B-52 bomber off the west coast and traveled at an altitude of 65,000 feet for more than 300 miles. The source did not disclose the speed of the projectile, though it should have been at least Mach 5, which is considered the low range for hypersonic weapons. It was the second reported successful test under the HAWC program, which is run jointly by the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Last September, DARPA announced it had tested a scramjet missile-type prototype produced jointly by Raytheon Technologies and Northrop Grumman without offering any details. Both variants use a booster stage to speed the projectile up to a point to where the main scramjet engines of the missile can kick in. The design is different from Russia's air-launched hypersonic ballistic missile called the Kinzhal, which the country used on the battlefield for the first time days before the American test, according to CNN's timeline. The Russian weapon was used on March 18th to destroy a fortified ammo depot in western Ukraine, according to the Russian military. The U.S. downplayed the significance of the deployment, with President Joe Biden stating that it doesn't make much of a difference except it's nearly impossible to intercept. The point of reaching hypersonic speed range with weapons is to defeat enemy anti-missile defenses and be able to deliver strikes on short or no notice. In addition to the Kinzhal, Russia has a hypersonic cruise missile called Sirksun, I'm sure I said that wrong, in its arsenal. The anti-ship weapon is designed to be launched from ships and submarines. Moscow considers it to be a potent threat to high-value naval targets like aircraft strike carrier or carrier strike groups. So, anyway, supposedly we secretly tested this missile, but they kept quiet about it, not to offend Russia. So, and this is coming from CNN source. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to tell you what they're saying. As you can probably tell, not buying it. Because the previous tests that have been done were made public and they've all failed. Okay? Now all of a sudden, we're hearing that they made a test and it was successful, but they just kept it quiet. Yeah. And coming right after Russia successfully used one on the battlefield. Yeah. We talk about astronauts and the moon too when it comes to stuff like that, but it is what it is. AUKUS countries announced cooperation on hypersonic weapons. Despite initiating work on the first hypersonic weapons back in the 20th century, the U.S. still doesn't have a fully operational prototype of a hypersonic glider, which it believed to be capable of penetrating most air defenses. Washington revived efforts to build one after Russia and China presented their first hypersonic armaments. Members of the AUKUS Security Pact, namely the U.S., UK, and Australia, have issued a joint statement saying that the three countries are making a joint effort to develop hypersonic weapons as well as other means of electronic warfare. The cooperation will expand the security pact, believed to be designed to deter and contain China, the Financial Times reported ahead of the announcement. China's UN envoy responded with the announcement warning the AUKUS members against things which might lead to other parts of the world into the crisis, akin to what is presently unfolding in Ukraine. The news comes in the wake of the Pentagon confirming an earlier report from CNN that the U.S. recently conducted its first successful test of a hypersonic missile developed by Lockheed Martin, called the Hypersonic. Well, we already covered all that. And then the rest, I think, is stuff that we went over. But, again, not buying it. Let me have a sip of coffee. I only got two more. Going through this kind of quickly. I didn't have a ton of tabs up. I just kind of went through and, well, as usual, picked out the highlights. But oh, man. Can't wait till this weekend. Temperature's going to be in the 70s. That's what I'm talking about. Hell to the yeah. I can't wait to open the windows. I don't know. I just like open windows and fresh air. There's nothing like, I mean, you feel so alive on a nice, just perfect temperature morning. You open the windows up, you're drinking coffee, birds are chirping. It's, Oh. Yeah, I'm taking a few vapes. This is a union shop, I'm the union head. I mean, I am the only, employee, so it's going on strikes, Hal. Let's see. All right. This again, shifting gears a bit when it comes to things. Speaking more of Russia, possibility of major conflict between great powers is growing. It's not just Russia, but says here, as the world is becoming more unstable, the potential for significant international conflict is increasing, not decreasing, the top U.S. military officer told lawmakers on Tuesday. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and General U.S. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley defended the record-setting $773 billion budget in the U.S. Department of Defense is requesting for the fiscal year 2023 at a grueling House Armed Service Committee hearing. The hearing saw innumerable mentions of the U.S. adversaries Russia and China, both of whom are perceived as a threat to U.S. global power in Washington. Milley dubbed Russia's attack on Ukraine the greatest threat to peace and security of Europe and perhaps the world in his 42 years serving in the U.S. military. However, it was heartening to see the world rally around Ukraine, he added. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is threatening to undermine and not only European peace and stability, but global peace and stability that my parents and a generation of Americans fought so hard to defend, Milley said. Both military officials later pointed to billions allocated to space and cybersecurity as examples of U.S. preparedness. They acknowledged that Washington has no defense against the hypersonic missiles that both Russia and China have successfully tested, but reassured the committee that the development of the Glide Phase Interceptor, a cutting-edge missile defense capable of countering hypersonic missiles, is proceeding apace. Milley argued that the only presence of U.S. hard power in open with Russian forces might have prevented Russia's military operation in Ukraine. With respect to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it's been a long-standing objective of Putin, and to speak candidly in the short of the commitment of U.S. forces into Ukraine proper, I'm not sure that he was deterrable. This would have required the use of U.S. military forces and would have risked armed conflict with Russia, which I wouldn't advise. I believe a lot of our European allies, especially those such as in the Baltics or Poland or Romania or elsewhere, they are very, very willing to establish permanent bases, Milley said. Austin said that NATO was still discussing how it should bolster its permanent presence in Eastern Europe. If NATO deems that it's appropriate to change its footprint, then certainly we'll be a part of that, Austin said. When asked whether or not if U.S. hard power alone could deter President Putin from launching Russia's military operation in Ukraine, would more U.S. forces in Taiwan increase or decrease the likelihood of Chinese President Xi Jinping launching an attack on the island? Secretary Austin demurred, instead repeating that strategic questions surrounding Ukraine are different from those surrounding Taiwan and cannot be neatly transposed from one country to the other. Austin admitted that the U.S. needs to do a lot better in leveraging U.S. allies in space and cyberspace, and not merely in the domains of land, sea, and air. Don't you feel patriotic now? You know, aren't you just ready to cheer them on for taking your tax dollars? And then this article, this is the last one I have up. U.S. warns of Chinese nuclear breakthrough. China is on the verge of making a breakthrough in its nuclear arms capabilities that would amount to a major shift in global security balance, Admiral Charles Richard, the head of the U.S. Strategic Command, has written in testimony prepared for a hearing on Capitol Hill, Bloomberg reported on Monday. The official is scheduled to meet the House Defense Appropriations Subcommittee at a closed-door hearing on Tuesday. China's breathtaking expansion of its strategic nuclear arsenal means a rapidly escalating risk to Washington, Richard believes. The admiral particularly refers to an intercontinental ballistic missile-launched hypersonic glider test Beijing conducted in July 2021. The operation saw the hypersonic vehicle flying some 40,000 kilometers for more than 100 minutes. According to the testimony, it was the greatest distance and longest flight time of any land attack weapon system of any nation to date, he supposedly said. This technological advancement on China's part would mean serious implications for strategic stability, Richard warned, adding that U.S. military capabilities and strategies rely on an assumption that strategic deterrence, and in particular nuclear deterrence, will hold. If strategic or nuclear deterrence fails, integrated deterrence and no other plan or capability in the DOD will work as designed, he added. As a result, the U.S. Strategic Command believes America might have to deal with the two potential adversaries possessing vast and modernized nuclear arsenals, China and Russia. Both these nations now have the capability to unilaterally escalate a conflict to any level of violence in any domain worldwide with any instrument of national power and at any time, the admiral has apparently written in his testimony. And, you know, I know that they're looking for money and stuff like that, funding and stuff like that, but he's not lying. That's where we sit, and I've been saying this for quite some time, that is where we sit. I think it's foolish just to wave the U.S. flag and, oh, we can do anything, when we had administration after administration that have been screwing us over completely when it comes to our military in all ways, whether it be their advancements in technology, whether it just be the fact that a lot of them were over there in the Middle East using crap to fight with. I just, and then you've got that whole 20 frickin' year war itself, so I mean, we're not in a position to be trying to pick fights. I don't get, I really don't get what they're doing. And I think maybe some of the, and again, this is if this isn't all just an orchestrated show to entertain us as they rush, bring in all this one world stuff, tinfoil hat warning. But, I sit there and I think, and we just let our defense go for decades. I mean, we just let it go. We didn't advance. We just let it go. And I saw that when that started, and I was very uncomfortable with it. And believe it or not, as I recall it started with Bush. So that's what I recall. Now, could it have started, say, with Bush Sr.? Actually, no, that's when it started, didn't it? Bush Sr. That's what I'm thinking, Bush Sr., because Clinton let it go to hell, massively let it go to hell, and then Bush Jr. let it go to hell, and then, of course, Obama let it go to hell. Trump tried to start pumping some money and back into it and getting some programs going, and now we got Biden, which is all, he's willing to pump tons of money into it, but that's because he's connected to the military-industrial complex. I don't know. I look at these chess pieces and I try to stay ahead if I can. But man, the more and more and more I dig, and the further things get along, it really does seem like they're working together. It really does seem like this is just a dog and pony show. This is just bread and circuses. And, I don't know. But anyway, that's what's up with that. Let me have a few sips of coffee here. Yeah, it almost got warm enough to open up the windows, but I figured what would happen is once it got that warm, I'd open up the windows and it'd be just a touch too cool. And I think it would have been. Oh. Yum, 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 yum. Coffee and strawberry milk vape. Good stuff. Oh, goodness. One more sip and we'll get through it. Alright. All these are articles that I started sharing out from this morning. U.S. sells more fighter jets in Europe. Cost of Hunter Biden's security revealed, says media. Germany seizes Russian gas money. Covered that. North Korea reveals... covered that, sorry. German consumer goods giant to continue business in Russia. Several killed as truck crashes into train. Finland reveals timeline of possible NATO accession. Recession bell tolls for Europe's top economy. Remember, it's not just Europe, it's pretty much everywhere. More EU member states kick out Russian diplomats. Washington nudges Moscow toward default. Poland accused of provoking new round of Russophobia. Soviet-era's last U.S. envoy to Moscow comments on war atrocities, accusations against Russia. EU country outlines conditions for closing its border with Russia. Berlin reveals its stance on Russian gas. Russia claims Ukraine stages more killings of civilians. Kiev explains its position on talks with Russia. Tourist accommodation firm says Russians and Belarusians are not welcome. Expected EU sanctions against Russia unveiled. EU explains why there will be no block-wide ban on Russian gas, because there'd be no way to replace it at this time. EU unveils new sanctions against Moscow. Ruble has shown a strong resistance capacity, says EU top diplomat. EU chiefs to meet Zelensky in Kiev. Footage shows Ukrainian troops brutalizing crime bosses. Japan reveals its revised military plans. Russian bailiffs go after Meta. Forbes reveals who topped list of world's richest. I'm not up there. Alleged execution of Russian POWs by Ukraine troops captured on video. I'm not laughing at that headline. I'm laughing at not being at the top of the world's richest. Probably more near the bottom of them. No, I'm not near the bottom of the poorest. I'm not going to say that, but let's see. Mass civilian casualties feared after Ukraine allegedly attacks chemical plant. Biden to unveil U.S., UK, Australia cooperation. Oh, I covered that. Let's see. Russia claims Ukraine may execute Crimean POWs. Russia's gas for rubles payment schedule explained. Let's see. Released documents show how Australian government misled citizens. I thought that was interesting. NATO and Asian nations respond to Chinese challenge to security. Covered that. UK poised to outsource migrant processing to Rwanda, says reports. Putin warns against seizing Russian assets abroad. West tries to sabotage Russia-Ukraine talks with Bucha hysteria, Lavrov says. Let's see. West is trying to disrupt peace talks with Ukraine, says Russia. Covered that and that. Ukraine gets tanks from European nation in first such development, says reports. And I covered that. And we're done. Wow. That actually went quicker than I thought it would. I didn't have a bunch of tabs open, but anyway. Well, that's fine with me. I won't mind relaxing the rest of the evening. I'd like to kind of finish my chapter. Oh, yeah, I kind of forgot to mention that. Angry American did release book 11 to his series, and so that's what I've been reading on. So I'm on chapter 6 or 7 or something like that. So Engineering Home is the title of book 11. So it's entertaining. At this point, it's pretty much just entertainment. After the first, I don't know, about first 3 books or so, maybe first 4, I don't know. You pretty much at that point, you're done gleaning what you can learn from it, and it becomes pretty much just prepper candy. It becomes entertainment. So it is what it is. I enjoy the story. So I think as a person, he's not as real as he lets on to believe, but as a writer, he is absolutely incredible. And the book is just as all the other 10. It's incredible. There's no two ways about it. So anyway, book 11 of the Survivalist series from Angry American, and it's titled Engineering Home. So, and I'm pretty sure it's if you've got Kindle Unlimited, it's free. So, or you can borrow it, whatever. Anyway, another sip of coffee. All in the contract. Oh, fun times. So yeah, I'd like to finish the chapter before I go to bed. And I got this stupid word game I'll probably play for a little bit because I've just made the mistake of downloading it. So, it's kind of a cool game. I like comprehension type of games because that's what I'm real good at. And so that's kind of what, in a sense, it is. It's kind of like a crossword thing. You got to find the words and, swipe the words on. I don't know. I forget what it's called. I enjoy stuff that makes me think and use my noodle. Well, that noodle, the one up top. What? I just thought I better clarify. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here and do some reading and use my noodle, the top one. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys, God willing. Tomorrow we'll be back. I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.